whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Good morning, wherever you are. I'm Allie Benjamin, and it is my great honor and blessing and privilege to be here with Growing Edge Live. We are having an amazing conversation today with my sister Sam. I'm a little nervous about it. We'll see where it goes because, you know, family and sisters, we can get into all kinds of mischief. Anyway, if you're here for the first time, I'm really glad that you're here. We have conversations with individuals that are soul-centered, that are on their spiritual path, that are channeling their time, their talent, their energy, their resources, their love into doing good works in the world. And so if you've had a chance to be here in the past, then you've experienced it. We have a wide range of guests that love sharing what they love to do. And the wonderful thing is, this is the good news. We can turn on the TV or we can turn on social media or whatever and see all kinds of interesting news. But here on Growing Edge Live and on New Thought Media Network, we share the good news, the positive news. So thank you for being here today. I really appreciate your watching, and I hope that what we share here today touches your heart and lifts your spirits. So we start every show with a segment that I call Ask Allie. And today I have a question that came in from Alberto. And he says, I'm struggling with a coworker. Some time ago, he took credit for some work that I did. And even though it's all sorted out at work, I still carry some mild resentment. How do I refrain from holding a grudge? This is such a good question. It's really relevant to all of us because there can be those times where someone just pops into our mind and we kind of wrestle around with, you know, memories of what happened, if you had an argument or a disagreement or someone took credit for your work. And it can keep, well, if you're like me, this is what happens. It sort of keeps bubbling up. It keeps sneaking into my mind, that person. And then I start like remembering what happened or rehearsing what I should have said in the situation. And it feels heavy. It feels hard to be a positive person and to be serving individuals to support them in overcoming things like this. But yet I can find myself struggling with these unresolved feelings and emotions and issues. And so something that I find really, really potent and powerful is to remember the 4 agreements, the Don Miguel Ruiz work, where he shares ancient Toltec wisdom. And this is to help individuals with being the best that they can, living within this world, within our relationships, because that's where most of the drama plays out, isn't it? Within our relationships. So how do we use these 4 agreements, particularly for Alberto here? How can we use these 4 agreements? And if you're not familiar with the 4 agreements, they are, number 1, don't take anything personally. Number 2, be impeccable with your word. Number 3, don't make assumptions. And number 4, always do your best. And so how does this apply to Alberto as he's struggling with this coworker and he's got this mild resentment or is holding a grudge? It can't help but interfere with the dynamics at in his workplace, his own inner monologue going on about how to get along in the future when there's fear and doubts about trusting this individual. And so don't take anything personally. If we can stay in our own lane and know that people do things like this take credit for your work or don't acknowledge you or say something that hurts your feelings. It's bound to happen. That's what this whole human experience is about, us mixing and mingling with each other and learning to get along with each other. But we have a tendency, if we're based in our ego, to take things personally. So the spiritual wisdom here is to not take things personally, to stay in our own lane, to remember that what other people think and feel about us is none of our business. And so I always chuckle when I think when someone runs across the screen of my mind, like, who's the matter with me? Not what's the matter with me, but who's the matter with me? And there can be, that's probably what Alberto's experiencing. This individual pops into his mind and then he's the matter with him. But if we don't take things personally, if we don't make assumptions, because we don't know why this individual took credit for his work, maybe he wanted to be recognized. Maybe that need to be recognized, to be acknowledged, to feel important, it overrode any feelings of friendship or the needing to be truthful or within integrity or authentic. And so we don't know why people do what they do, why they hurt our feelings, why they take credit for things that aren't theirs. So don't take anything personally, be impeccable with your word. So this is another thing to really be mindful of. We have an opportunity to use our words to express who we really are. And when we lean into being negative, saying negative things, gossiping, colluding with others, maybe Alberto might want to go and talk to his co-workers and start up, some chats about what this co-worker did. And that kind of gossip, that kind of negative thinking can really undermine the environment, the relationship, the work environment. And so to be impeccable with your word really means to stand guard at the doorway of your mind, to stand guard at the doorway of your mouth, to make sure that things that are coming out of our mouth are positive, uplifting, and supporting, and always expressing who we are at our deepest level. And then always do your best, as long as we're doing our best. And it really doesn't matter who gets credit for us for what we're doing. It's nice to get credit for the good works that we've done, but we know that in the bigger picture, that when we just do the best that we can, and we just keep showing up, giving our best effort, and doing what we love to do, then that's all that really matters. It's about staying present in the now moment, releasing the past, not taking anything personally, being impeccable with our word, not making assumptions. Again, we don't know what's going on in other people's lives. Maybe Alberto's co-worker had a row with his spouse, or a problem with work, or who knows. So we can't make assumptions, and then we just simply do our best, moment by moment, relationship by relationship. And then in the end, if we follow these 4 agreements, these simple agreements that they're really simple, but they're not easy, because we get so tied into our stories. We get so affected when someone presses on a wound that triggers some insecurities. Then we can simply fall into this, what I call below the line thinking, fall into doubt and fear and uncertainty. But remember, by following these 4 agreements, we move ourselves above the line to the place of being a powerful, creative force for good in the world. So, Alberto, I hope this helps. It's so usual and common for us to hold a grudge, but it really is a choice. See the bigger picture, bless this coworker, and know that he or she has given you an opportunity for personal growth, and given you an opportunity to know more surely who you really are, and what you want to be and what you want to do moving forward. So Thank you, Alberto. And if you have a question, I would love to hear from you, and you can send those questions to growingedgelive at gmail.com. And I'd love to have you be a part of this show. And if you're watching live, if you have a comment, please go ahead and drop a note down there, because I love to read in live and bring you into this conversation that we're just about to have. Whew. So Samantha is my sister, and Samantha is 8 years younger than me. She's my oldest sister. I have 4 sisters and a brother, and I fell in love with Samantha the minute I heard of her arrival. Now, I was in England at the time because that's where I was living, and Samantha was born here in America to our mother, and we have different dads. And when I first saw Samantha, when I first showed up in America and I had a chance to see my little sister, I instantly fell in love, and we've been in love ever since. And we can drive each other crazy sometimes, but we're always here for one another. And I think that this conversation today will be really heartwarming for us, and I hope it will touch your heart. And so let's see where this goes. So Sam,
hi.
Welcome to Growing Edge Live. As you know, Growing Edge Live is all about being on the growing edge of our own evolution. And so we talk a lot about our journey, our evolution, our revolutions, and all the kinds of things that we've experienced through our lives, and then how we sort of channel that energy into doing good works in the world. But before we get to that, I want to hear about you and how, maybe you want to talk a little bit about you and me, our upbringing, but more importantly, I want to know about you. How did you get to be where you are today? I know our viewers love to hear about spiritual awakenings and the spiritual journey. So what's yours been like?
Well, first, thanks for having me. This is so fun. Where to start? So I firstly grew up with our parents, and my mom and dad, like your mom, both Olympic champions. So I grew up in a family of athletes, and there were always really cool people around who were inspiring. So I think as a child, I looked up to everyone around me, and just really saw how they impacted others. And there's a quote that I just pulled up. Remember that as much as you are influenced around the world, by the world around you, you also have the capacity to influence the world around you. And so I think that, like, when I look back on our childhood, I was inspired so much. And I really liked the way that certain people came into the house and would make us feel. There were those people that made you feel that you are just as important as all of those important people there. And so I think as I grew up, I really got into self-development and learning about who I am and how I am, lots of therapy. And I got married, had, kids. And when they were little, I just felt like I was in this place where all I did was everything for everybody else. And as I started to kind of learn a little bit about myself, I remember going to a hot yoga class, and it was the first time I'd had an hour and a half to myself where I really could think about things. And at that same time, I owned a retail store with my husband, and all of these people would come in asking if I would let them showcase their jewelry at the store. And at first I didn't get it, but being a people pleaser, a recovering people pleaser now, I couldn't say no. And so I would let these people from this jewelry line come in. And eventually I ended up getting into social selling that way, because I saw it as a way that I could give back to people in need. It was a way I could donate. So I started doing that. And what I found was kind of so much about myself, being vulnerable, putting myself out there. And back then I sold jewelry, but it wasn't really about the jewelry. It was a way that I could make other people feel really good. And I love that. I love that through my denim store. I loved selling jewelry. I loved helping people feel good. And so that turned into a really cool career and experience and kind of led me to where I am now. So started out kind of trying to help people feel good. Back then I had little kids. And so it was a reason for me to get up and get dressed every day, and a reason to go out and be positive and help people feel good in their own skin. And that was back in my 40s. And now in my 50s, I really have leaned into wellness. And I love not only helping people feel good on the outside with accessories, fashion, but really feeling good on the inside, and just taking care of themselves. I think we all had to lean into a lot of self-love and self-care during the pandemic. And I had already been in years of therapy by that point. And I just feel like now I'm at a place where we're sharing, plants with benefits. But again, the products are amazing, but it's about how these products make people feel, whether they're a customer or a part of our community. And you and I were chatting about how we grew up around a lot of coaches. And I think the one thing I like is being able to influence other people, but also help them to feel good in their own skin, to be vulnerable, to put themselves out there, and really help people feel seen, heard, valued, and appreciated.
Mm-hmm. So I find it interesting. You and I have had a lot of conversations about the Enneagram.
Yeah.
And you know that I'm in a year-long training course to become an Enneagram teacher. And I'm just at the beginning, like 3 months in to this adventure. And I don't know, is it okay that I mention your type?
Yeah, of course. I'm your biggest.
Yeah. Yeah, Samantha and I, we just always talk Enneagram types. We're just kind of obsessed with trying to figure out everyone in our family and what type they are and why they do what they do and all of that. And Sam identifies as a type 3, which is the performer, the achiever. And I identify as a type 4, which is the artist, the individualist, the romantic. And so we're both also in the heart center triad. So that means that we're very connected to other people. Like, it's very important for us to maintain our relationships with our loved ones.
Right.
And so for us, it's all about people, and it's all about helping and maintaining our connection and making sure that we're good with that. And so I find it funny that, we have this opportunity to have this conversation about supporting other people, and that you instantly, when I ask you about your journey, you pretty much start right into the work you do and how you help other people. And really what I want to know is, who's Sam?
Yeah.
Like, who are you? Like, do you even spend a moment? People can probably feel your energy right now. It's super fast-paced, high energy, and you're on the go a lot. And I know that you've really been working to balance that out, right? To spend time taking care of yourself. You mentioned yoga, you mentioned Pilates, and I know that we've talked about meditation and mindfulness a little bit. But what's your spiritual life like? Were you a spiritual or religious person as a little one? What was the family situation like as far as spirituality goes?
Okay, well, so as a little person, I would say I don't feel like there was a lot of spirituality in our household. I think of you and because we are 8 years different. So I think back to maybe the time when I was in high school, and you used to do stepping stones for conscious living. And you would have people over to your house, and it would always be really people coming and sharing what's going on with them. And I remember holding hands in a circle. And I remember actually back then just going, what is like, what is happening? Like, it was like, and I would go home and think, because it was nothing like we grew up with. And so, and growing up, I wouldn't even say we were super religious, you know. And I also kind of, as I go through life, think back to the fact that my dad was raised Catholic and our mom was raised Church of England. And my dad was an altar boy, so he did all that, but he was not very into, I don't know, he didn't take us to church. But for some reason, out of our household, and we have a younger sister, I was the one that got to go to CCD class weekly. I went to Catholic high school, and my grandmother had me go to church with her every single weekend. And I remember that I fell asleep one time in church because I was little and I was in so much trouble. So I kind of didn't like that part of it. I felt like I was targeted and I just had to go do all of these things. And I'm like, why am I here? And then I remember that experience with you. And I think I went through life a lot as like a people pleaser, not super spiritual. And then really as an adult, my father-in-law, who passed away during the pandemic, is he has his doctorate in religion. You have gone down this path. And so I started paying attention, and I think I kind of woke up to spirituality a little bit more, probably more in my 40s and 50s. And to me, you know, it's, I'm loving all the comments. To me, I feel like you and I are very different, but also very similar. And I think learning about yourself and why we do the things we do. And I love what you said in your first Ask Allie segment, who is the matter with me? Because I think, especially during the pandemic, I had time to evaluate who is the matter with me? Who do I need to keep at arm's distance? And if something's really bothering me, why is it bothering me? Like, you know, and so things that used to trigger me and I just go round and round. Now things don't bother me as much. So I love the whole first segment with not taking things personally. I grew up taking everything personally, being impeccable with your word. I think I've always been impeccable with my word. I think I've always done my best. As a 3, I'm an achiever or a performer. And I definitely find value in like checking things and saying, yes, I did that. My family would agree. And not making assumptions. I think I was guilty of that. So I think now through meditation, through taking time for myself, reading, journaling, like I've started to learn a lot more about who I am and how I am and why I'm that way and who's the matter with me and how I can be better. I'm definitely a work in progress, but I'm super grateful to have you as my sister. Because back when we were at Stepping Stones for Conscious Living, I've always looked up to you and your ability to find people and help them. And I think, you know, looking up to you as a big sister, that really helped me to feel like I wanted to do that too, to be an example for other people and help them feel good in their own skin.
Beautiful. Well, you do. And I know we'll, on the second part of the show, we'll have an opportunity to talk about the ways that you touch other people's lives and truly do support so many. So, you know, when we were talking about, in the Ask Allie segment, when I was talking about holding a grudge and who's the matter with you, and like, how did that impact you? Like when I said those things, you know, do you struggle with holding a grudge? How do you deal with that when someone keeps running through the corridors of your mind? Someone said to me once, you know, so-and-so's not safe to run through the corridors of my mind because, you know, they're still angry at that person or what have you.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever experienced that? And how do you overcome it? Or have you? Are you still struggling with it?
I mean, that's an interesting question. I feel like with certain people, being a middle child, being a Libra, being just the way I am and how I am, I always, when I'm really triggered by something, it will really consume me because I don't like feeling, I want to understand. I always assume responsibility. Like, what did I do to allow this kind of situation to happen? But it doesn't make it easier to kind of just, you can't just kind of like get over it, right? Like you actually have to work through it and process it. So I think now I'm aware of the feeling. Like, I think I'm starting to feel my feelings, which is very different. Growing up, I didn't feel my feelings. It was always about other people, always about making sure everyone else was okay. Because if they were okay, I was okay. As an adult, I realize that's not necessarily, I actually can feel my feelings and it's okay. And sometimes I'm angry. And if I'm feeling angry, I really want to understand why I'm feeling angry and what I can do to react in a different way, to not get over it as much, but to kind of navigate through it and then realize, like, do I need a boundary up? How can I get in front of this? And I need to kind of like bless and release some stuff, including people, right? Like some people you just, maybe my old self attracted a certain kind of people and occasionally they come back and I'm like, oh, this is bringing me back to how I felt when I was in high school or how I felt in college or even in my early 30s. And then I'm like, okay, I still can be friends with this person or deal with this situation. Now I deal with things differently. And what I found is some of those people don't like the boundaries that I've put up or the different version of me. But I think that's a positive thing. And you just have to kind of stand firmly grounded in your beliefs and really know that you are enough and you matter. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm always constantly, people do run through my mind. And then I have to put back and think, why are they running through my mind? What can I do? And I do listen to a lot of podcasts and self-help and books, and I love quotes. And I find little nuggets here and there that really help me get through that. And then also calls with you.
Yeah.
Just on mute doing housekeeping or something, but you know.
Exactly. Yeah, I think talking through it, having a sister to talk things through with is so helpful.
Yeah.
You know, it's someone, hopefully a sister or a brother or a family member, you can feel safe with them, you know, especially when you've done the self-work with each other, it's easier. But, you know, not all siblings get along. And so I hope that our conversation today can have people thinking about their situations, their siblings, you know, how can I have a better relationship with my siblings? Because, you know, we've got long histories and it feels good to be in the comfort that long history, that relationship, that sort of being in the nest together energy, it's comforting. And as you know, you mentioned your father-in-law passing away, you know, we're at the age now where a lot of our elders are transitioning off the planet. Yeah. And it can be very hard, but it's also good to know that we've got our generation and we've got each other. And so I think it's so important to nurture the relationship that not only you and I have, but our audience members could be having with their family members. You know, maybe take a closer look at those in your family and see, you know, who are my allies here? How can I deepen my relationship with my loved ones? We're going to come back and continue this conversation right after this break. And thanks to Satya and New Thought Media Network.
was made in the image. I was made in the image of love. Here and now I can see I was made beautifully. I was made in the image. I was made in the image of love.
Wish we'd all stop acting like we're strangers if we could see underneath. We are one family, and it don't matter where you come from. Every heart beats to the rhythm of one love. One love, one love. Every heart beats to the rhythm of one love. Every heart beats to the rhythm of one. What if
Blessings, everybody. My name is Jafon Seeley. Could you imagine what is actually possible when we start honoring and recognizing our inherent worth, realizing that we are that which is assisting and co-creating our experience? And with that understanding, start recognizing that every human, every individual, everything that we interact with reflects that same inherent worth.
It's not about an adventure, it's about the atmosphere of the consciousness of adventure, the lifestyle of adventure. How many people would say that their lifestyle is adventurous?
My name is Lisa Benson. I'm a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant and the author of Anchored in Bias, Fired Over White Tears. It's a book detailing my lived experiences with workplace bias and what fueled my passion for normalizing conversations about differences and creating safe spaces for everyone to bring the best version of themselves to life every day.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
We're back.
I love that song. I just sing it all the time walking around my house.
You know, I was watching the infomercials, the commercials, and I know Sam, you're not going, but our producer Michael and Robert, our other producer, we're going to be at Unity Village in Missouri in a couple of weeks, and I was just reflecting on, you know, seeing Jafon Seeley and Daniel Nahmod and Nemo and all the other speakers that are coming on. I'm super excited to be there at Unity Village. And if you, as a viewer, haven't tried Anton Retreat, I highly recommend it. It's an annual retreat. It's been going on for decades now. And we get to really have a deep and meaningful and a lot of fun time. And I'm going to be introducing for the first time a workshop on dance and prayer. And so it's new for me, and I'm totally stepping outside of my box, and it's going to be interesting how that all comes together. I'll keep you posted, Sam. So anyway, on the break, I was also thinking about family, and I guess it's up for me because we just spent time together.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, and as the viewers may not know, I am currently living with my daughter, or not living with her. She's living with us. We're living together, and my granddaughters, Kylie and Cora. And you have 3 children, and I was just there last month. And so you've got Clay, who's at Long Beach, and Sophia, who just got accepted into Berkeley. Oh my goodness. And into your sorority, which is just so fun and amazing. And then Cooper, who's still at home with you. You've got 1 little birdie left in the nest. And I was thinking about my family here and your family there, and also thinking about our family of origin, you know, when we were young together and growing up, and how we're doing it differently. You know, we always do. I mean, it's not that you know, this is new or unique to us, but I'm wondering, what is it that you do differently within your family? Like, what are the priorities? What do you want your kids to know as far as the way you mother, the way you create, you know, a family environment? Like, what are the priorities? What's the vibe in your household, and how does it differ without, you know, being too, you know, finger pointing or anything? Like, in the positive way, how have you made a difference based on what you experienced, the contrast of what you experienced as a young one?
Well, I mean, firstly, the world is so different, and this generation is so different than our generation. And then we're obviously different than our parents' generation. And so we were looking up the other day, and I'm like, what generation are our parents even from? And it's the silent generation. So there's that. I'm a Gen Xer. My kids are just so different. And I feel like what's important to me with regard to my kids is that they feel, well, it goes back to even how I feel about like coaching people. It's making sure they feel seen, heard, valued, and appreciated. I think it's really important. I think they need to know that they're not judged, that we love them unconditionally, that we want the best for them. And I really think that something that's important, especially as we've navigated through teenage years and into Clay's 20, almost 21, crazy, is just honesty and open communication. So I definitely feel like that's been important. Not to say we didn't have that. Things were just so different. And we had a family dynamic where, you know, for me, my dad wasn't there a lot. My mom was from another country, is from another country. She didn't understand our school systems. Things were just different. And so for me, I feel like I just want my kids to feel that they can come to us with anything, that we're always going to be there for them, that their voice matters. I think that, and then that we can be honest about what we're doing. They don't have to lie about things, because I want to be able to have a conversation. And I actually am floored with not only my kids, but even nieces and nephews, the things that they actually share with me. I'm like, holy cow, I never have told my mom these things. Even yesterday, I was getting messages and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But I love that they trust me, and that they know that whatever they share with me, there's no judgment, and I accept them just as they are.
Yeah. Well, and you do that. I see it. And your children, you're such a tight, close unit, but they're also radically independent.
Yeah.
You know, they've been able to bounce from the springboard of all of the goodness that you've given them into being really well-rounded, happy, successful. I mean, not all the time happy, but, you know, teenagers, successful beings in their own right. And mine too. And I feel like, you know, when you point out that our parents are from a different generation, the silent generation, yeah, it wasn't, especially for me, you know, my dad is English, and neither of my parents were very emotionally aware or awake. And I didn't go to my parents to, you know, share anything. It seemed like that door wasn't really open. I lent more on my friends for that kind of emotional support. And so, yeah, things have changed over the decades, and parenting today is really different than it was in the past. And I'm sure each generation thinks that their way had some really redeeming, better ways of doing it or whatever. But we'll see. My mother-in-law once said to me when I was complaining to her about my children, you know, whatever they were doing at the time or driving me nuts at the time. And she said, well, we raise our kids, we spoil our kids just the way we like them.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that shut me up, and I did not want to go and complain to her anymore about them. So we have each other. We can process it.
Totally. And I remember you saying that. And I think the way I am and the way I was raised, I kind of walked around unconscious, like not unconscious, unaware, not really aware of why I was feeling the way I was, or I just kind of stayed in line and did what I was told to and didn't complain, didn't question anything. And my kids question everything, you know, and sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, are they going to be in therapy? Because they're like parenting me half the time, but they're making me see things in a different way. And I actually love it. And I think together, my husband and I just are like, we balance, you know, sometimes I think one thing, he thinks another, we meet in the middle, and then the kids set us straight. So, you know, it's interesting, and it must be interesting for you having an adult child at home, because I kind of went through that in a different way this summer, having everyone home, and then also having grandkids. They are not your children. And then also it's just different from when you raised your kids. So I can only imagine the challenges that come with that, and also how amazing it must be, because I'm going through like feeling like my kids have left. And I never actually, when I left for college, thought, oh, I don't live at home anymore. But now I had to leave, and I was like, oh my God, they don't live here anymore. It's so quiet here. Thank goodness I love my husband, and we still have one at the high school, but like, wow, it's so quiet. And I never, until I'm 52, never until this year did I actually put together that when you leave, you're gone. And you have this like really cool thing where you're together. And I think I can only hope for that.
Oh, well, be careful what you hope for. Yeah. Well, I had a decade or so of just Michael and I, and it was amazing. And we had all kinds of adventures and really got to know each other in a whole different way as, you know, empty nesters. And so to have family come back is, you know, it's different. We're here for each other. Absolutely. But yeah, it's different because no longer am I the matriarch in the household as much as I'm well, I guess I'll always be the matriarch to some degree, but I'm not the alpha female in the house. You know, my daughter is at the moment. The kitchen is kind of her domain because she's in there all the time with the kids preparing food and snacks and this and that. And so it is an interesting thing to contemplate, you know, what's my role here? Right. And I'm not here to discipline my grandchildren or tell my daughter how to be a parent or anything like that. So I think having the self-awareness that I have, doing the kind of work that I do, which is, you know, working in the spiritual world, working with coaching and counseling individuals, supporting people in my ministry, you know, I've got a lot on, you know, to keep me busy and to keep me focused on what's real. And what's real is the now moment. What's real is, you know, what I'm projecting out there into the world. And I hope it's love and kindness and boundaries. You know, there definitely have to be boundaries when it comes to anyone, especially within your family. So yeah, maybe yours will come back in 10, 15 years and you can try it out with grandchildren too. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, you know how that goes.
Yeah. So I want to switch gears a little bit because you talked a little bit about helping others and supporting others in rising up. Like how do you channel your time, talent, energy, love, resources into supporting other people and doing good in the world? Like what's your, you know, where do you work? What do you do? How does it look? And this is something that I kind of want you to weave into. I want you to think about your purpose. Like, is your life a reflection of sort of your soul's purpose? And how does that show up in what you're doing now?
Yeah, well, I hope it is. And I hope that I make people feel important, seen, heard, valued, just all those things. Like, to me, that's so important, is it, how people feel. And so what I'm doing right now, I do a bunch of things, but I am lucky enough to work at OHO, which is Plants with Benefits. And I've had an incredible mentor who I met back when I was at Stella & Dot. And he, was always such a big resource for me there. And then has really helped me with different careers over the past years, whether he realizes how important he is. It's really important to have an advisor or a mentor or someone that you can lean into, talk to, that kind of helps you out even unknowingly. And I hope that I do that for other people. At our company, we're a startup, we're small. We have 2 shops, one in Bedford, one in Palm Beach. And we have different channels. We've got an e-commerce channel, and we have, a wholesale channel. And I run our social selling channel. And it is a group of people who really just share good products that change lives. And I love that that's our tagline, because we really get to be a solution to people's problems. So if people are struggling with, anxiety or sleep, I'm at a plant-based company that has different things that help, whether it's a recovery balm for some sort of, muscle soreness, it's keeping you up and causing you not to sleep, or, it could be that you're challenged. I'm going through, perimenopause, menopause, your sleep cycle gets disrupted. So we've got rest products. And for me, it's just really connecting with people who are authentically using our products and that may want to share those with their friends and family. And then I help them do that. And in doing that, I have really found a lot of joys in creating content, whether it be for, Instagram, Facebook, people's websites. And I get to do that and share what I'm doing with our community and help them to do the same. It's a way that I can get creative. I'm not like you. I'm definitely, I do like paint by numbers and things like that, but I am not an artist in any way, shape, or form. But I do have a creative side, and I like figuring out ways to connect with other people and share these products and help our field do the same. So that's been really fun. Again, there's people get feelings when they're around you, and I hope that people feel good when they're around me. And I hope I make people feel good. I love leaving people's cup full, not draining it, really bringing the fun and, showing up as my best self, and then really helping others to do that too.
Yeah. And you do that, and I see that. And, I'm always watching what you're up to, and the products that you're promoting and the companies that you're working with. And I've always kind of dipped my toe in to just about everything that you've done, actually.
Yeah.
And something that sticks out in my mind is when you first started getting into social sales, a lot of people are like, ooh, I don't know if I like that. But you really made it into something so valuable to other women. I saw that you moved into that lane of social sales, and it really helped you to sort of grow your wings, to become financially independent, to chart your own course. And I think that you do that for a lot of women and men, but from what I have seen, a lot of more women than men. And I'm wondering, do you have any stories or any thoughts about some of the women that you've helped to, maybe they were in a dark place, or needing, a bit more spark in their life, and you've introduced them to to something that you're doing that's opened them up? Do you have any
Yeah.
stories that you could share
So
with
many
us?
stories. I think that's probably what initially drew me to this is helping other people feel good. And in order to go out and share products, I don't ever feel like I'm selling, and I don't think other people in this industry do too. You're sharing what you love with other people and then helping them however you can. And so for me, yes, we can share products and people can purchase them and love them. But it's more about changing people's lives and bringing them into a community that makes them feel good. We have an amazing community here. And I've been fortunate to be at other companies where we've had amazing people, men and women, with stories. And it's giving them a platform to share their story and really define success however they want it. So it could be that they just want to pay an electric bill and that they really need money. And I truly believe in this kind of industry, you can make money to pay an important bill. It may be not even about the money, because I think you come for that initially, but what you do is find a piece of yourself, because you have to do things that are uncomfortable and get comfortable in that uncomfortable place. You have to stop worrying about what people think of you, and you have to put yourself out there. And so, I've met people that were in really bad relationships and felt so small, and this helped pull them out of that to find a piece of themselves. And really, even for me, I think that's what it did for me. I feel like I have gone through different things in my life, and this really allowed me to feel good. And I think people live in the world and they don't feel that success and that good. And I just love like setting a goal, reaching it, and the way that makes me feel. That goes back to my Enneagram 3. And so for me, I love that, like setting a small goal of like going out and helping 5 people feel better. And then when I do that, then I go to the next goal, and you just keep raising the bar. And in doing those little tiny things day in and day out, you start really finding out who you are, how you are. And then if you share that with other people, there's people that resonates with too. They're like, oh, I felt that way. Oh, I know somebody that could benefit from this. And so there have been people that were in bad relationships. There are people who just felt kind of lost and alone. There are people that might have wanted to go through in vitro and they didn't have the money. So to me, I was like, oh my gosh, why would you not do this? Like jump in and then just have a couple of events and you're going to be here. And then if you do that every single month, you get out, you see people, it makes you feel good, you're helping others, and then you're also going to be able to reach your goal. And I also think sharing what your why is and connecting to that in this type of a business is all the difference, because then it's not about the sale or you're making it about other people or about something that is going to pull other people in, because people really want you to be happy and people want you to succeed. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't share something I didn't love. And if I love something, I think everyone should do it. And that's kind of what I do.
Yeah. So what is your why?
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. Truly, it's so interesting. When I was in the field more, because now I'm more at a home office position, I always had a strong why. And it started off, to go on vacation. My husband worked and I was a stay-at-home mom back then. And I remember my first why was to raise money for my friend who had breast cancer. And so I started. And then in doing that, I earned a trip to Puerto Vallarta and I got to bring my family. And to me, I thought that was it, like helping my friend. Then it was, oh my gosh, earning the trip. But then I dug into it, like, why did I want to earn the trip? And I wanted to be able to do that for my family because I felt like I was showing up every day, but nothing felt that great. And this was something I could do for them. Now I feel like I have to really, probably it's a great thing. I need to really dig in and figure out why. But like, I love helping people and sharing what I love and helping them kind of define success, whatever it may be. And that fills my cup. So I guess for now, that's what it is just really helping to other people feel really good and a part of something that is fun and changing lives.
Yeah, and you do that. So what's next for you? What's your growth edge? What's in the brew?
Gosh, I don't know. It's like in doing this, I kind of accidentally fell into creating content. And I'm always doing that because I like to understand social selling, direct selling, influencer marketing, affiliate marketing. And so that's been really fun. And in the long term, I just want to continue to make a difference in the lives of others. I think we have a limited time on this earth. I love where I am right now, and I just hope to grow our OHO community, share these good products that are changing lives with everyone, and bring people into our community and help them feel good about themselves.
Well, I know that you will, and I know that you are, and I'm always your big sister here cheering you on from the mountains of Utah. And thank you so much, Sam, for being my special guest, my sister guest today. It's been such a warm conversation to have, and I'll probably talk to you later this afternoon on the phone, but thanks for being here today.
All right. Thanks, guys. Love you, Allie. Have a great day, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, so go ahead and stay on. And everybody, thank you for showing up today. Thank you for indulging this sisters conversation. And I invite you to come next week. We've got Dr. Rick Moss, who's an amazing being, an author, psychologist. You'll love him. And thanks to New Thought Media Network for producing this beautiful show, and to the Satya Center that's always inspiring minds and healing hearts and transforming lives. So peace and blessings to you where you are. And thanks to our producer, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye.